When I went to go see Joker, I was genuinely surprised at how good of a movie it was. It really succeeds as a psychological thriller, as well as a character study of the mentally unstable protagonist, Arthur Fleck. But as I was watching the movie, I couldn't help but keep thinking to myself, wait, that's not how the Joker is. That's not what he believes. That's not what the Joker would do in this situation. But despite that, towards the end of the film, when Arthur has shed his old life and accepted the Joker persona, he really felt like the Joker to me. Even though my mind kept telling me that aspects of this character clashed with my current understanding of who the Joker is. That's when I realized there is no definitive Joker, in the same way that there's not really a definitive Batman. So I'm going to break down several different versions of the Joker in order to see which one is best. Before we begin, please leave a like on this video. If you do, it would really put a big smile on my face. So what do I mean when I say that there are different versions of the Joker? Well, I'm not just talking about continuity or actor portrayal. What I mean is that all versions of the Joker are crazy, but in different ways. Let's start by taking a look at the legendary performance by Heath Ledger, Joker from The Dark Knight. This incarnation of the Clown Prince of Crime is absolutely fascinating to me and many others because he has an agenda. There's a very specific message he wants to send to Gotham City, one of pessimism and anarchy. Joker's whole ideology centers around his belief that society, in all of its morals, etiquette, and philosophical grandstanding, it's all insincere. Joker truly believes that humanity is evil and selfish at its core. It's what he sets out to prove by creating the prisoner's dilemma between the citizens and criminals of the city. He wants to show, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that people are untrustworthy. They break, they fall, and they eat each other. What's so fascinating about this interpretation of the Joker is, while he acts as a criminal, a terrorist, a supervillain, at the end of the day, maybe he's right. Are people really anything more than just animals, too smart for our own good, pretending like our fabricated ideals of justice are absolute? This Joker isn't really a character, but an ideology personified, a force of nature that appears in Gotham and sends shockwaves through the established order. He kills Rachel Dawes, corrupts Harvey Dent, he forces Batman into retirement. And by the end of the movie, we know nothing about him. We don't know his name, his origin, we have no idea how he got his scars. Every time he explains them, it's a new story he makes up on the spot. This Joker isn't meant to be a man, someone who could be persuaded or influenced or emotionally compromised. This Joker is an idea, tightly packed inside a jack-in-the-box, ready to be unleashed. This is very different from the Arthur Fleck we see in 2019's Joker. Fleck also has something to prove, but he's much more human, more vulnerable, and more upsetting. Arthur Fleck shows us what happens to a human psyche that's constantly beat down from all sides for an entire lifetime. And it's compelling seeing him slip, slowly, into a personality different from his normal meek disposition. When he becomes Joker and goes on the Murray Show, he's alive, spinning and dancing, planting a kiss on one of the other guests. But his speech to and subsequent murder of Murray tells us everything we need to know about this Joker. His message isn't a grand philosophical statement about all of humanity. Instead, it's a specific, localized one. Joker is a manifestation of the downtrodden, a representation of Gotham's underbelly, finally deciding to lash out at the upper class that has oppressed them for so long. This Joker is less of a universal depiction of humanity's madness, and more of a specific instance of how low Gotham has fallen. And this idea is what spurred me to make this video. On the one hand, I really like this concept of the Joker. When we consider what Batman would look like in this universe, the theming is incredible. Batman's greatest enemy is the Joker, and by battling the Joker of this world, he's literally fighting the representation of Gotham's corruption. It's not just some psycho, but the personification of everything he spent his whole life preparing to defeat. And a step further, Batman's refusal to kill the Joker is a representation of the struggle, of avoiding the sins of his father. He can't just get rid of the lower class of Gotham, where his corruption sprouted from. He has to rehabilitate it. He has to work to improve the upper class as Bruce Wayne and protect the innocence of the lower class as Batman. In that way, what this Joker represents is terrific and would make an incredible antagonist to Batman, if there were a Batman in this universe. But on the other hand, he's not really the Joker. Joker isn't the face of a revolution. He's not a man who lets people go because they were nice to him. The Joker is supposed to be a psychotic freak who sees the world in a way no one else does, save for maybe Harley Quinn. And that brings me to the third Joker from the Arkham games. This Joker is more traditional, in line with most comics. He's psychotic, and he terrorizes the world around him not to prove a point, but to entertain himself. After his time as the Red Hood, when Batman knocked him into the vat of acid at Ace Chemicals, Joker just snapped. He's not interested in money or revolution or proving any point. He's simply insane and becomes fixated on Batman, the one guy who seems to never snap like everyone else does. This Joker's fascination with Batman and Gotham City is because they're a fun challenge, a crazy goal to be achieved. That would just be so hilarious if I could do it, right? This version of the Joker isn't worth much psychoanalysis, but he does provide an interesting insight into what this character is like as an obstacle, an antithesis to Batman. Bruce, in his crusade to clean up the streets of Gotham, represents order and justice. He's meticulous. There's a plan for every situation, a failsafe for every catastrophe. His belt is filled with gadgets, and his mind is filled with knowledge, designed to tackle every circumstance. The Joker of this world is the opposite. He's the one thing you could never plan for, the single broken cog that threatens to destroy the entire machine. Joker is chaos, he's madness, he's unpredictable terror, and he always has some plan to make things even worse. In the same way that Nolan's Batman and Joker were opposites because of how they viewed humanity, the Arkham Batman and Joker are opposites in how they affect the world around them. Batman brings order, while the Joker brings entropy. And the final Joker I want to discuss is New 52 Joker, who is designed to be just about the scariest damn thing ever. Now, there's a whole storyline about how there are actually 3 Jokers, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I want to focus on this version of the Joker, also known as the Pale Man. What makes this Joker so fascinating is he ascends past the status of a mere mortal man and becomes the stuff of legends, shrouded in mystery and terror. You never know just how much control he really has, how much he really knows, or if it's even possible for him to really die. See, this Joker supposedly came in contact with some form of a Lazarus pit, the same mystical pit that Ra's al Ghul uses to remain immortal for hundreds of years. The theory goes that this Joker came in contact with the pit hundreds of years ago and lived through the foundation and construction of Gotham City, quietly observing, watching, and pulling strings from behind the scenes. There are pictures that show him through the decades, but their veracity is uncertain. Maybe that's not him in those images, or maybe it is. His mind, twisted by the Lazarus pit, Joker could be the very reason Gotham fell into such darkness in the first place. His actions could very well have indirectly led to the murders of Thomas and Martha Wayne. And it's only after Bruce began his crusade as Batman that this Joker decided to step into the spotlight, taking a much more active role in wreaking chaos across the city he called his home. This Joker is twisted and violent. He finds humor in details far more gory and inhumane than his counterparts. For instance, he willingly let fellow villain Dollmaker cut off his face and left it as a message for Batman, only to later return, stapling the rotting skin back onto his head. He wore it for a time like a mask as he snuck into the Batcave and drugged every member of the Bat family, only for them to wake up and find that their faces had been removed as well. I won't spoil the ending of that story. If you're interested, go read Batman: Death of the Family. But I will explain something that makes this Joker terrifying. He's not really human anymore. He's able to survive swimming underwater for far longer than any regular person should. In the climactic endgame storyline, he's able to jump and flip and fight Batman one-on-one with superhuman agility. He even carves a smiley face into the Dark Knight's back, all while taunting him. Am I really an immortal monster from the past? Or is it just a funny joke I made up and you fell for it? This Joker is scary. He's right out of a nightmare. Not only will he torture you to death, but he'll laugh hysterically the whole time. He's the complete opposite of Arthur Fleck. Instead of a relatable man, molded by the city around him, transformed over time into a psychotic killer, the Pale Man was a monster from the beginning, who molded the city into a place of horrors for fun. One was produced by Gotham, the other produced Gotham himself. Ultimately, it's tough to say which version of the Joker I like most. There are still some versions I didn't cover in this video. In fact, there's a lot, including the prankster of the Silver Age comics, or the money-driven mobster of Batman '89, or the animated series. But if I had to choose one, I'd probably go with the Arkham Joker. This version encapsulates just a little bit of every version of the Joker, sort of like the prototype of the set. He's crazy, he's scary, he's fun to watch, and he makes Batman undergo real trials. Ultimately, Joker is supposed to be a villain, an antagonist. He should make the hero struggle, learn, and grow. When you make the Joker a protagonist, like in the latest movie, you have to fundamentally change him, even just a little bit. He's not just crazy, instead he represents the lower class, the downtrodden. While I really like Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal of the Joker for its thought-provoking take on the character, let's face it, he's no ace of knaves, no jester of genocide. He's not the Harlequin of hate, the clown prince of crime. He's just not crazy enough. So, who's your favorite version of the Joker? Let me know down in the comments. While you're there, consider subscribing and ringing that bell to be notified whenever I drop a new video. And as always, stay frosty.